Hello, I'm Catherine Sines, the president of the Rotary Club of Hudson. Rotary is a professional organization of a group of men and women who support Rotary International. We also join together by a common interest of service to our Hudson community, and we have a sincere desire to give back. We meet weekly on Wednesdays at Laurel Lake Retirement Community, 200 Laurel Lake Drive, in their dining room. We meet from 7:30 to 8:30 and would like to invite you to join us. For more information about Rotary, go to www.rotaryhudson.org. Enjoy the following excerpts from one of our recent meetings and consider joining us on Wednesday morning.
And they're off.
Welcome to the Rotary Club of Hudson. Ron Strobel, the Sergeant at Arms. Our invocation this morning is by Kelly Brennan.
Kelly, you better put your jacket on.
Put your jacket on.
Some kind of Irish thing, like maybe in heaven an hour before the devil knows you're dead.
Couldn't have his tie on.
I forgot all about this.
It's dressed down day.
Getting old.
We've noticed that.
Bow our heads. May you work like you don't need the money. Love like you've never been hurt. And dance like no one is watching. Amen.
Amen. Very good. In the AM.
You had to get that big piece of paper out to do that.
And he put his jacket on.
There's nothing on it.
Lead us in the pledge and the four-way test this morning. Gail Royster.
What's that?
Good morning, Rotarians.
Good morning.
Please join me in the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the pledge, the four-way test that we think they do in Rotary. First.
Is it the truth?
Second.
Fair to all concerned.
Third.
Will build goodwill, better friendships.
And fourth.
Will be beneficial to all concerned.
You.
Thank you, Gail. And now lead us in song, Chris Barker.
My big button away.
Good morning, Rotarians.
Good
Good morning, Gail.
So James Field had a great idea in honor of the recent Flag Day, and we're going to sing Your Grand Old Flag.
Your grand old flag, you're a high-flying flag, and forever in peace may you wave. You're the emblem of the land I love, the home of the free and the brave. Every heart beats true 'neath the red, white, and blue, where there's never a boast or a brag. Should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the grand old flag.
Our President, Catherine Sines.
Last meeting?
Yeah, I see that
Good morning, Rotarians. I want to welcome everybody this morning. We have a couple of announcements. First, did everybody see in the hub the little article about the kindergarten class that was here? Remember they came and spoke? And in the article, I just wanted to point out that it says that they attended the Rotary Club meeting and that they received a check that helped them print their, so that was great publicity, and I thank you for that again. And I was excited when I saw that in the paper. So Jay, not only are you doing a great job getting us publicity, even our grants are getting us publicity. That's great. James, did you want to talk about three-way tonight?
I didn't bring my little sheet,
Okay.
but I will take 2 seconds.
Okay, come on.
You had
1001, 1002. The Relay for Life, actually, they had a goal of 80,000, and as of the day of the fest, they actually had exceeded it, and so it's not counting money that's still coming in, which they will count, I think, through the end of July. And Rotary donated 15,000 plus Thanks, Dan, that check,
It'll bounce.
actually, it's due to, there were donations, throughout the club, but also, thanks to, Tom, in, one of the funds, there was a donation, to cancer, and it was donated to the American Cancer Society on his behalf. So, we are actually, I think, the second largest fundraiser within the group. So, thank you very much. And for next year, we'll try and get all the information out earlier, get some more people involved, so that we can, really do a big showing. And hopefully we'll have our own tent too, thanks to Evan for loaning his tent.
Thank you. Rich Warfield and Evans, you want to do membership next?
James.
We would need like
Yes, yes. You there?
Dan.
Greg Fox, would you like to come up? Okay. When they do membership, that you have to come up too. Greg Box, on behalf of the board and the members of the Rotary Club of Hudson, it is a great pleasure to welcome you as a newest member of the club. Greg, you have been chosen for the membership in the Rotary Club of Hudson because your fellow members believe you to be a leader in our community, and because you possess the qualities to champion the message and principles of Rotary. You now become an ambassador of Rotary, carrying the ideals of service to all within your sphere of influence. We ask your sponsor to pin you, but it's Mike Swain and he's not here, right? So will you pin him? Yeah. To pin you as a Rotarian, to vest you with the distinguishing badge of Rotarian, your Rotarian pin, and your name badge. We ask that you wear your Rotary pin with pride, not only to all Rotary functions, but in your many endeavors as a symbol of your commitment to the Rotary ideals and your recognition of your contributions towards a better world. Fellow Rotarians, please rise and welcome our newest Rotarian, Greg Fox.
Good morning, Rotarians.
Good morning.
I've been dying to say that. First, I want to thank Mike Swain for inviting me to come and kick the tires of Rotary. I would describe myself as a recovering CPA and trust attorney who's been in the wealth management field for the last 15 years. My wife Susan and I have been in Hudson for about 25 years. We've got two beautiful but mouthy teenage daughters who have been taking full advantage of the Hudson school system. That's it in a nutshell. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Jim Ahern, would you like to? Yep. I was trying to get your attention there, but. And then we have one more item before.
The expenses have just begun.
James, can we turn the sound up?
The sound, I'm sorry, what?
Turn the sound up, they said.
Make it louder.
So Ron, is this how we made money at the gala? Does this picture go with it?
$2.
That's pretty, 60-some thousand doing it.
That was a cleanup crew afterwards.
Okay.
I turned it, it's still.
Greetering for 2018-19. There's only 3 people that are exempt from this. And that's the president next year, Ben and Chris. Because they already do greetering on that side of the table. So I'm going to pass around the sheet. That is sign up for greetering for next year. Please pick a month. Yeah, we do have some new people that have the requirement to do some greetering. So I'll try and get them to talk to the right people to fill in for a week or two for the badge. So I'll pass this around. Thanks, everybody. And I found out our president has a new dog, so you got to learn the name of the dog. That's for sure.
That's not going on the air, we'll talk. Anybody who wants to know why?
The first one. You're the first one.
Is greenery a word?
It is now.
The last piece of business we have to do before our speaker is, on your tables is a list of slate of officers for next year. I want to present that slate of officers to the club. The board saw it last week, and now I'm presenting it to you. And if there are any comments or anyone would like to comment on it or to add any other nominations, now's the time. If not, we need a club vote. Is that right, Dave?
Yes, I move that we approve the slate of officers presented to the club.
Dave Basil moved that we approve it. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have two presidents. Two
Liz,
president-elects.
second it? Elizabeth?
Two president-elects.
Lynn.
Are you volunteering to be president?
Chris, are you writing it down?
Oh, good. That's why I'm still.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, this is
Just the
approved.
demands of our
Slate of
jobs.
officers.
We can't do it.
George, would you like to come
So
up now?
we're gonna try out this.
Do one half a year. Co-president?
Oh, no, we'll just like continue to. No, we'll kind of.
Just giving you crap.
Yeah.
Morning, Rotarians.
We're trying it out just because.
Congratulations to Evan and all of his new board members.
Between work and travel, it could be a
I
little.
want to take you back to the year 1967, which you may remember was called the Summer of Love. And if 67 was the Summer of Love, the year that followed it, 1968, was a year of great political outrage. Assassins claimed the lives of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and of Robert Kennedy. Anti-war protests ended the presidency of Lyndon Johnson, and the Democratic National Convention in Chicago descended into chaos. But 1968 also saw the opening of Blossom Music Center and Courthouse Theater on grounds that were then owned by the Cleveland Orchestra and the Musical Arts Association, that since then are now owned by the National Park. Here today to talk about Blossom's first 50 years is Ross Binney, who is the Chief Brand Officer of the Cleveland Orchestra and Director of the Center for Future Audiences. The center was established in 2010 through a grant from the Maltz Family Foundation with the goal of creating the youngest audience of any symphony orchestra in the country, as traditional audiences continue to age. Ross joined the orchestra earlier in 2010 with over 25 years of experience in the commercial and nonprofit sectors of the arts and entertainment business. He has led both marketing and fundraising organizations, and at the Cleveland Orchestra directs all sales, branding, and communications programs. In addition, he has extensive teaching experience in nonprofit business management and currently serves on the faculty of Baldwin Wallace University. Ross received his MBA from Southern Methodist University and his BA from the University of Texas. He is married to wife Liz and has 4 children. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm Rotary welcome to Ross Binney.
Thank you, George. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Ross. I'm delighted to be here. I'm actually truly delighted to be here because those of us in the entertainment business this time in the morning is not exactly our forte. So I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. I'm excited to talk to you about Blossom's 50th. Great introduction. Thank you, George. I have been in the entertainment business for 25 years, with symphonies the last 20. My accent is English. I was born in Newfoundland. All those from Newfoundland, raise your hand. It actually happened last time I did this, and I was like, are you kidding me? I was born in the northern tip of Newfoundland, and I grew up in London, England, which is why, if anyone doesn't understand anything, please just shout. But I want to talk to you today a little bit about the importance of Blossom, the history, the 50 years, try and cram this into 20 minutes, and talk about the importance of Blossom to this orchestra at this time. But before I do that, I want to talk about our mission. And our mission is to inspire and enrich lives by creating extraordinary musical experiences at the highest level of artistic excellence. And the Cleveland Orchestra is blessed to actually do this. I've stood up in front of audiences all over the world and said, "You're the best audience. This is the best arts organization." The Cleveland Orchestra truly can claim to be in the top orchestras in the entire planet. And it's a testament to this community, and it's a testament to the history of what we do that has made it so great. And Blossom is as much a part of that as Severance Hall, including the touring and all the stuff we do. We have some values that hopefully that we live by every day. A bit like your full-weight test, this is what we do. Music is first in everything we do. Excellence is everything in what we do. We believe in an unparalleled teamwork, and we try to be creative. But the most important one, I think, is at the bottom there. If we're not making impact, we're not going to be relevant. And the good news for us is Blossom and its audience and the impact we're having on the community is as strong today as it was any time in the last 50 years. And I want to discuss why. The point I want to stress today is that the Cleveland Orchestra is not just a Cleveland institution. We have increasingly built a reputation around the world. None more so than in the last year. This is our 100th year. It's also Blossom's 50th year, and as the marketing guy, it's a miserable experience trying to create the impact that we've needed to do with both 100 years and 50, but it's also very, very exciting, the results. And the press continue to award us these great accolades of how good we are. We've just come back from a tour of the Music Verein in Vienna and Suntory Hall in Tokyo, and we've just come home. The orchestra's just come home from great reviews around the world. But it's not in our business good enough anymore just to be a great orchestra. It's about this impact. How much impact are we making in this local community, and how much are we doing? We're undergoing a economic impact study in partnership with Case Western University at the moment to actually sort of monetize the economic impact of the Cleveland Orchestra in this community of Northeast Ohio. We have 100 full-time musicians, 125 administrative staff, 1,300 unbelievably dedicated volunteers. Last season, our centenary, our 100th season, we attracted audiences from all 50 states and 39 different countries to come and see us just here in Northeast Ohio. We like to entertain, we hope we entertain 400,000 people a year. And 60,000 of those come from our education programs, our school programs. How many of you went on the buses up to the school programs back in the day? Did anyone do that? Yes, we got one. Good. And lasting memory. How many were at Blossom, the first concert? Anyone here who was there 50 years ago? Okay, well, we'll get to that. Our annual budget is $54 million, and we support 800 businesses. We do business with 800 businesses. It's a big organization. The budget for orchestras in this country is about 7th right now. The top budget's well over 150 million, and most orchestras are 10 million or below. So let's talk about Blossom and its impact. I have to point it at that thing.
Yep.
So George Zell was our music director back in 1968, and we were at a transition point as an orchestra from being, most orchestras do not play year-round. In fact, in the summers, they lay off their musicians, they lay off their staff, and the big orchestras had summer venues. New York was going to Sarasota, Chicago go to Ravinia still, Cincinnati hadn't built Riverbend yet, Detroit, where I was before I came to Cleveland Orchestra, I just built Meadowbrook up in Oakland County. And George Zell
was our music director at the time, and considered the Cleveland Orchestra to be a great orchestra, needed to have year-round performances, and we should have a summer venue. And they looked at over 700 sites and then found this one in the Cuyahoga Valley and decided to build Blossom. Some pictures of the original. George Zell's The Man in the Glasses. On the top left is Beverly Barksdale, who was the general manager of the Cleveland Orchestra at the time. George Zell's wife, Helena. And the chairman of the site committee was called Peter Reed. On the right, there was two architects with George Zell. The man on the left is Peter Van Dyke. Does anyone know Peter? He's very active with the Cleveland Orchestra still. If you ever get a chance to get him as a speaker, his stories about this time and the fear of George Zell are terrific. I recommend him doing that. Down in the bottom left, we have the acoustician, Peter Jaffe, on the left. Lewis Lane was our assistant conductor, who did a lot. George Zell again, and Peter on the right. And then we've got George Zell conducting. Well, he's not actually conducting at that point, because he's got Emily Blossom and Frank Joseph, who was president of the MAA, on the bottom right here. Blossom over the years has been a site for the great conductors of the world. The first Prime Minister I remember, Edward Heath, conducted with Lauren Mazel, first British Prime Minister that I remember. Maybe it was Harold Wilson, but it was close. And Christoph Dovonyani. Leonard Slatkin was the music director out at the Blossom Music Festival for a long time. Yakia Ling owns the record for a number of concerts conducted there, 115, and Francois Almost is our current music director. Perhaps the most memorable for many people of these conductors was the legendary Maestro Big Bird. It was he was so good he came back the next year. But that was a family concert series they did out in the 70s. Blossom is built on 200 acres of rolling landscape, as you know, in the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. We had, in 2011, we transferred 578 acres of that land back to the National Park Service. And currently the Cleveland Orchestra, the Musical Arts Association, which is our parent organization, owns the land for the Blossom Center there. The picture shows Frank Joseph with the Blossoms breaking ground. And the bandwagon is the store. That was the original store, and you can see the original layout of the land. The acoustics are world-renowned, and part of being a great orchestra is the fact that you play in great venues. And Blossom has the most unbelievable acoustics and the most unbelievable architecture. We're blessed to perform at Severance Hall, and we're blessed to perform at Blossom Music Center, which makes an orchestra sound so much better. It's unbelievable. And many orchestras are envious of that. So Peter Van Dyke, as we've discussed, is our architect-in-chief, and as I say, the stories about the boom and the noises and the getting it right are unbelievable, and I highly recommend those. And Christopher Jaffe was the acoustician who made the acoustics quite so good. And every year, we perform to about 400,000 people, and the most important thing is half of those people are going to come through Blossom, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a second. But here's some pictures of the original the original views of 1968. So you can see the land. You said I had a weak pointer, do I? Oh, no. So they broke ground, and those of you, has anyone been out there yet this season? I met somebody who's going tonight to see the dead of the dead, or the almost dead, or whatever.
The near dead.
I was there last week. I was there last Sunday. But you can see how much has changed if you've been here recently. I mean, this is the original backstage parking right here, and know of the build-out that has happened in recent times. The sort of the hill-raising pathway down this side. This is a pretty steep drop. Back in the day when it was built, there was not nearly as many seats as there are now. The pavilion has actually got bigger over time, and the lawn slightly smaller. Today the capacity is 19,200 for an orchestra. That's very difficult. For the marketing person in an orchestra, that's very, very difficult. But we do get good crowds. The biggest crowd ever, the biggest official crowd ever was 24,000 back in the day. Blood, sweat and tears. And the biggest unofficial crowd, anyone want to venture a guess who that was, which band that was?
Jimmy Buffett.
Pink Floyd.
Oh.
34,000 unofficially. I don't know how you possibly guess these numbers. But anyway, it was obviously like Woodstock and chaos. For orchestra concerts, we consider a sellout at about 15,000. It's an interesting fact. Our people like to have their picnics and they don't like to touch. So it's rock and roll people, they're all in there and it's all one big love fest. And our people like to have their picnics and don't you dare touch my rug, you know. So we can't quite get as many people in there. But 15,000 feels like a lot for us. It's built with some interesting facts. 1,250 tons of steel, 12,000 cubic yards of concrete, 4 acres of sodded lawn. Anyone want to venture a guess what it cost to build? All those that say it was over 10 million. It was 8.
Wow.
Today's money, it was 6, would be about 60 million to build the place. Seems like good value now as these stadiums are going up in Texas that are costing $1 billion. But not to say we don't need to do some work to bring it up to those levels. We also so I should just go on. We also have 2 great committees. Anyone in the Blossom Friends Committee here? Well, thank you if you are. Anyway, the Friends Committee is a fundraising support group that started in 1968 and has been going strong ever since. We have a Blossom Committee of the board who also advise us on all things Blossom. And this is the important thing for us, and Blossom is quite so important because so many people get their first orchestral experience by going to Blossom. So we performed 126 concerts last season. Only 21 of them were at Blossom last summer, in the summer of 17. And half our annual paid audience comes through those doors in those 21 concerts. Obviously it's much bigger, but it's obviously much more accessible for parents to bring young people, and I'll talk about the young people programs in a minute. But it's incredibly important for our audience building and our growth. A few years ago when I started, I was just saying to George, my wife and I were sitting on the lawn my first summer while I was interviewing to come down here. And we were sitting on the lawn with our 4 kids, and she said, "This is fantastic, make it free." I was like, "Thanks, you know, I'm the marketing guy, I'm about to join the orchestra, and I'm about to give all my money away." And she said, "No, make it free for the kids." You know, sitting here with your family, 2 parents, we have 4 kids, they are also teenagers, whoever was up here, I know it's a long haul. And they don't come anymore. Of course they don't, they do other things. But sitting there with my 4 kids thinking, you know, for $50, this is a great night out on the lawn. You see my people not touching? So it's a great night out, and a movie's costing us $100 now, and there's no memories, and there's no social time, there's no family time. This is just a great thing. You should make it free for the kids. So we introduced, when I got here in the summer of 2011, under 18s are free. And now in the summer, this summer we'll do 25,000 kids coming with their parents for free. And that's about this impact, that's about the relevance, and it's also a great place for families to bring their kids to hear orchestral music, which might not be their first love, but also a great place for the parents not to have that, what I call white knuckle ride of sitting in Severance Hall, watching them not squirm. So this has been hugely impactful. And the work of the Centre for Future Audiences, which George alluded to in the introduction, is part of my job to make sure there is an audience for the future. And 20% of our audience now, 1 in 5, coming to our classical concerts are under the age of 25, whether they're students or young people, and this has been a huge success. We also do this stuff. Yay! I went to this one. Yeah, thank you very much. Supplied this one. It was a sellout, but Dead and Company, there we go, look.
Yep.
There they are. Is it the Grateful Dead?
It is. Well, it's 3 of their original members, and then John Mayer and a couple others.
Okay, good. That'll be a big night. This stuff is big business.
Bob Ware,
and
right?
Live Nation manage it. We have a great partnership with Live Nation, who manage the venue for us. They also book the rock and roll stuff, and the country stuff is big, and they will do 400,000 people through the doors a summer at Blossom, which is great news. We will be celebrating Blossom's 50th with a big lineup. We have our traditional July the 4th celebration, which for a Brit is a bit odd, but it's a win-win situation. In fact, I used to have to introduce this concert up in Detroit, and it was really odd, 20,000 people out there, and I was like, good evening, and they're like, oh, you kidding, this is what it's all about. Anyway. Francois Most will open the season with a great classical program, pictures and exhibition with Broadway, one of Broadway's legends, Audra McDonald's. I've put the propaganda out on your tables. You can see the full schedule. Yo-Yo Ma, this concert is just Yo-Yo Ma playing all the Bach cello suites alone on the stage. And that will be really intriguing. Carmina Burana is a favorite, and of course Darth Vader will be coming over Labor Day weekend. That's the first one. That's the oldest film. It's the 4th one, but you know how it works. It's the first one, the one that was old when I was born. We're doing this special show with Roger Daltrey of The Who, who's coming to sing the Tommy album. And sales have been going. This will be our biggest concert of all time. It's already exceeded our revenue numbers by quite a large margin, and there's only dawn tickets available, and this is going to be a big hit, and is on tour already. Doing the whole Tommy album, and if any of you are on the fence about, oh, I don't like the Tommy album, but I like the Who, and the encores will be really good, and it will be Who stuff if you're interested.
Got the playlist.
So, thinking about Blossom as we go forward, and to just wrap up, it did cost $8.3 million to build it, and I think we're at a time now where we want to think about the next 50 years for Blossom. I mean, as I said, as successful as it's ever been for us. It is a very, very special place, but it needs some help. Some of the buildings are getting a little worn down. We need to think about Blossom as, I call it, we want to think about it as a music park now. I would love Blossom to be the access point year-round for cross-country skiing. If you're going into National Park, you should be able to park there. It would be great to have corporate tents. It would be great to have infrastructure there that just takes it up to what modern venues are really dealing with today. But at the same time, we want to keep it as special as it is. It really is a very, very special place. And without it, we wouldn't be the orchestra we are today. So thank you for your time, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Well, I'll lead off. Actually, so I don't just go to the Dead. I have my lawn tickets. We will be seeing Yo-Yo Ma, etc. But I actually grew up in Highland Park, where Ravinia is. In Ravinia, it's all flat. It almost doesn't make sense. Whereas Blossom's got that wonderful hill. My question I always had was that the original hill, or did they have to build it up? Because it's the perfect viewing area.
It's the original hill. A lot of work's been done to it. We've had to do a lot on the house right side. We've had to do a lot with ADA compliance. As I said, the ramp on the left-hand side down to the auditorium is death-defying if you're in a wheelchair. So on the right, so we've had to build a path out. So we've lost some lawn, but it is the original lawn. Interesting question, because one of my challenges is filling the pavilion, because we have the best lawn in the country. Tanglewood doesn't have a lawn close to this either. You can't really see. And we have a lawn that's second to none in terms of viewing and sound and everything. And getting people to commit to and you can bring wine and you can have and getting people to commit to the pavilion has become an increasing struggle because of how good this lawn is. But it's a much better lawn than all these other venues. I would agree with that completely.
Thank you, Ross. Just a couple of questions for you. One is, who is your favorite artist or musician? And also the second, if you could just talk about, in your opinion, what your biggest success or impact has been on Blossom.
Leon Fleischer, the pianist, is probably when he was at his height, my favorite. I mean, it was the most exhilarating piano I heard, and I heard him play, fortunately, one time with the Cleveland Orchestra not too long ago, and it was just tremendous. In the rock world, it's the Who. In fact, when this came across, when this concert came along, I have a big involvement in the bookings for Blossom. I don't touch the artistic stuff at Severance, so I'm not allowed to. But when it comes to Blossom, they need to fill seats. And when this show came along, I'm like, absolutely. And then I had to talk to my boss and said, I don't think I'm objective here. I don't think I'm being objective. Should we spend this money to bring Roger Daltrey, the Who band? And he went and asked various people in the rock and roll business, who said absolutely. So I was lucky there, because I was worried I wasn't being. Yeah. The biggest impact I think we've made is opening the doors to young people, and this under 18s program, trying to loosen the ties, trying to just say, look, this is fun. This is white wine, some great music, and bring your own picnic. This is about peace and serenity with family and friends, and real escapism. I mean, I heard the Imagine Dragons the other night. The lead singer was like, look, he came out on stage and he said, let's just take a couple of hours and forget it all. And when he said that, I thought to myself, yes, that's exactly what we should be doing every week when we play at Blossom. It's not, don't take it too seriously, have fun, enjoy the music, and just take a different tack. And I have found that young people are as interested in our classical music, every bit as interested as they ever were. They just needed a price break, they just needed access, they just needed us to loosen our ties and not make it so daunting to come. We have a ways to go in Severance, I accept, but that's why Blossom's so powerful.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you, Ross. Fascinating. Let me ask you if you have any connection with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The reason I ask that is that I'm a Pittsburgher, and Rick Seaback has put Pittsburgh on the map with the rock and roll revival shows. that he's done over a number of years. I wonder if that wouldn't fit in Blossom very nicely.
We have a great relationship with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We do packages, certainly at Severance. We work with them on this Tommy project. I think there's a pinball, because of Pinball Wizards in it, I think there's a pinball display going on at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We could do more. One of the dreams I have would be that we do when they do the rock and roll induction ceremony, we write some charts and we have a big concert with the Cleveland Orchestra out at Blossom. Like we could do some of the induction ceremony weekend in a big rock and roll crossover concert format. Now we're not exactly. I mean, so my previous boss said to me one day, you know, the problem is for us, the Cleveland Orchestra doesn't swing. You know, we're really good at what we do, so we have to stay within our brand. But if we wrote good charts and we wrote good projects and we actually created concert experiences rather than just being the backing band, I think there's a great opportunity with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to produce some really, really interesting work. Yes, sir.
Do you have specific programs for children during the summer with the orchestra?
Just some of these concerts. I mean, we've this summer we're doing movies. We're doing more movies, the soundtracks to the movies. Which, if you haven't seen one of these, it's a great way to watch a movie. I never realized the music was quite so powerful till I saw the orchestra play it. I've always been focused on the action. So we got The Little Mermaid. Goodyear is our 50th anniversary sponsor, and they're sponsoring this family-friendly day. We're going to have family-friendly pre-concert activities. This summer also we're introducing big screens. I didn't mention this and I should have done. Big screens on the side so you can actually see the orchestra. We're only doing it on 4 of the occasions, 4 of the concerts. But we have, I mean, obviously Star Wars, obviously the Little Mermaid, we have the pre-concert activities. And our kids programs, we're trying to make be more stuff to do during the pre-concert activities.
I don't know if this is your area you're involved in, but how are the food sales going?
The food?
Yeah, are you guys happy with how the on-premise food is?
That feels like a loaded question.
Well,
so Live Nation manage the venue and deal with the food service providers, and whether it's Coke or Pepsi or whatever. We would always love to. I would love it to be better, but again, it's high volume, and it's a difficult thing. But the contractor right now is a company called Legends, and the restaurant seems to do okay there. I think it could be better, but we're constantly working on it.
Yeah, I'm in the food business, and just, I mean, it's like most venues where the food's pretty expensive for what you get, and I'm just wondering if you lowered the price and sold more, if that would...
The challenge for us is, so the difference, the rock and roll business, they don't really let you bring anything in.
Right.
And we let, bring in picnics and all sorts. And so the emphasis on the food is a little bit less for our concerts. I would love to make it that you actually could, so this summer we were introducing, pick up pre-packaged picnics that we will arrange, so that you don't have to do that if you want that kind of food service. But I would love it just to be less expensive and less fried very often. But we're working on it. It's a constant battle.
Thank you very much. We still have a couple things that I want to remind everybody that next week there is not a meeting in the morning. It's because it's our annual dinner, and if you haven't signed up for it yet, is there still time? Yeah? To sign up? If they haven't signed up yet for the annual dinners, there's still time for them to sign up.
Yes, if you get in touch with me today, I think I have 53 signed up, so that's.
So you still can sign up today if you haven't signed up. We can still do that, but just remember I'll try to remind everybody Tuesday, I'll send an email, don't come to Rotary in the morning, so if not, you know, somebody, maybe one of you in the morning, just say, no, I'm teasing. I want to wrap up the meeting, thanking our greeters, Phil Warburton and Matt LaFountain, our audiovisual crew, Dan Rich, Tom Page, Tom Tobin, James Field, and Ron Barnhouse. Just thank you very much. And today's Rotobuck, the drawing's $13 and the jackpot is $173.
Getting up there.
Oh, God, no.
I think your approach works for you.
Yeah, 'cause I have three numbers.
6, 4, 1, 3.
That's the last four? 6, 4, 1, 3. It's been 2 weeks now.
Good luck, Dan.
All right.
Catherine,
Oh, yes, sir.
I want to thank you for being our president this past year.
You're very welcome.
You have done a wonderful job, and I'm speaking for myself, but I think I'm speaking for everybody.
My last quote of the year is, thank you, each of you, for your part in my journey this year. Thank you.
Kids, young teenagers.